I can't remember if it was the second or the third grade, but I would go to the Paseo Y in Kansas City, the historic African American Y, and into a swim and activity program. And then later on, I became a member of the NATO gang, in which we went to baseball games of the Kansas City Athletics and then the Kansas City Royals. And also I went to the day camp where we would have day camp activities. And then, you know, when I was in middle school, I went to the teen nights at the Y. Got to meet girls too, you know. so I went to the teen nights, and we would have gym and swim. So I had a lot of activities that was at the historic Paseo Y. And then at the Linwood Y, I got my first job when I was a senior in high school, and I was a counselor in the Adventure Club program, which was a program that really ran for the summer from about 8 o'clock until 3, just like a school would. But we had many, many activities, and that was my first job in the Y. I was recruited onto a Y board, which was the Department of Urban Concerns at the time. It turned into the Urban Services is one of the things I did when I was on it. And for some reason, this young guy coming out, the folks asked me to be the chair of the board. So I was chairing the board, and then I was a member of the Metropolitan Board, and then I was elected to the Metropolitan Board as their youth. And I was vice president of camping because a gentleman by the name of Henry Worse, who was the chair of camping, a very wealthy man, he wanted to extend camping to urban youth in the inner city, so he brought me on to help do that. So we worked together to get kids in the inner city into camping. And so the Department of Urban Concerns, this was a period that was about 4 years, 3 to 4 years after the riots in Kansas City. There was tremendous racial tension, tremendous anger in the city. And so we were trying to bring about racial understanding and bringing people together to talk about it, and having seminars and discussions to help business community and others to come together. And then we started to move into how we could provide services for the community, especially for youth. And we started developing youth programs, you know, like Achievers and some other things that were brand new and no one else was doing. Juvenile justice intervention programs, those things we did. The appeal they made to me to take over the Y, and the reason I accepted it was they said, Harold, you're active in the community, you have a lot of passion and work, so we know you want to help youth, and so this will give you an opportunity to help youth. So I came in because the situation with the youth was so volatile, and that youth were not succeeding in school, and so I wanted to make a difference. And I actually didn't plan to stay with the Y with about 3 years, but I was going to spend about 3 years or so in helping the youth of my community that I grew up in. So we built a new YMCA, and we started to really reach out and serve the community in a very unique way. Now, I can share with you this because this will kind of help you understand me and my career. When I started in Linwood Y, the first day on the job, we had this building down the street, and then up the street was the swimming pool where the new building was to be constructed. And so the swimming pool was up there, so I was my first day, so I decided I'd walk up and take a look at the swimming pool. And I saw about 5 or 6 boys, young boys, standing outside the fence. Even one of them had cut off his jeans so he could have and turn it into a swimsuit. And so I said, well, what are you guys doing? They said, well, they won't let us swim in the Y. And so I said to them, oh, you can swim in the Y. I'll see to you swim in the Y. Come on with me. So I went up and I told the staff that I'm the new director of the Y, and you can swim. And I want these guys to swim in the Y. And he said, oh, no, you can't do that. They can't pay for the fees. They are not a family member. That's against policy. I said, not anymore. I'm in charge. You work for me. And they're swimming. And then from there, I went out and went and met with went up to the neighborhood and met with all the people in the community around the Y to let them know that they could swim in the Y. And later, when we built the new building, I had what is called a good neighbor policy. And in a 3-mile radius of the Y, there were programs there that anyone in the community that was in that 3-mile radius could come in and use the Y at no cost. So I made sure that the Y was relevant in reaching out to those who needed us most. You know, I started these national initiatives that Solon Cousins gave us and my group that I was working with, pretty much, Solon Cousins was over the National Y, a free hand to develop strategies and services, and that was nationalizing the Black Achievers program, which became Multicultural Achievers and Achievers, setting up a strategy around that created the resource networks, and having these field conferences where, you know, CEOs and leadership would come together to learn how they can serve the community better and work together better. A part of everything that I've done is the theory that, you know, I don't want to run it. I want to help to start it, but it's about empowering people. If it's youth program, it's youth empowerment. How do these youth themselves start not only to be better themselves, but how do they help other youth and bring them up? How do they set that up? And the same thing when we look at our staff leadership development programs. It's not about just how you develop your own career, but what are you doing to help others in their career and reaching back for other people. So one of the things that came out of that type of initiative is one of the largest programs we have in the country now in terms of minority staff is Mezile, which is the Emerging Multicultural Leadership Program. So they saw that there was a high turnover of staff that were coming in and new, and these new leaders coming in, and so they set up a program that helped them through mentoring and other services that evolved into a major conference and network conference all across the country. So the empowerment of people, working with people, builds this system and this community of helping each other, which is what the Y is all about. The first thing I say is you want to be a mission-driven equity leader. And what you want to focus more on, how do I help and serve people and make a difference in their lives, and not spend all of your time focused on dollars and statistics and figuring on that, because what we're about is helping people. And I'll share with you that in my career I have bent over backward to make sure that we were serving the community. For example, if I told you we were going to serve 5,000 youth a day in a network in the inner city, and it's all going to be free to these youth, and they would be in this service after school every day from for 4 days a week to 5 days a week, and into the summer, you'd say that was impossible and you couldn't do it. And that program has gone on for 17 years. And in my career, I have helped and reached out and made sure that we made the Y accessible to those who have least afford to pay. And in those 40 years in the Y, I've never once gone under budget, always achieved my budget plan or exceeded the budget plan. So it doesn't say that because you do these things to help people, you're going to do poorly. It's because if you do it right, you're going to be successful. We are in the people business. We are about, you know, local shape, building a strong community, building strong people, helping people to develop, helping people to be successful. And what the Y means to me is that we're helping kids to succeed in life, we're helping families to become closer together, and we're helping adults to become healthy and strong. There are so many beautiful moments that I'm proud of. But let me tell you what I'm proud of more than anything else. I am proud that in my life I stood up. When I was in college, I stood up for civil rights. When I was in Kansas City, I stood up for the youth of the community and for building a strong community. When the South African YMCA system was collapsing, I'm proud that I stood up with others to help build the Y in South Africa. I'm proud that when I took my staff to the Cheyenne, to the Sioux Y in the Cheyenne River Reservation, that I stood up, and we stood up, stood up to help people in the Cheyenne River Reservation. I'm proud of the fact that when we saw that youth were not succeeding in the Twin Cities in the school system, and that after school was the worst time for kids to get into trouble, that we made a safe bridge between school and home for kids around that urban community. I'm proud that, you know, when we wanted to expand camping, make sure camping was ready for the total community, that we did that. So what I'm more proud of anything else is in very challenging situations, and even the national issues that were there, I'm proud of the fact that I went beyond my local work, and I stood up and I took action and I gave leadership. And when I had the opportunity and when I was in with the group, that I spoke up, that I helped people to come together and to work together to make this a greater organization and more relevant to everybody that's in it, including outside of it. So it built a very strong bridge. I'm proud that I stood up and worked with my board and got them involved in leadership. And I'm proud of the very special work that they did. I'm proud of the fact that I stood up, and I'm proud that I made a difference. Those are the moments that make me.